what was interesting was people didn't realize that sometimes by doing good, you can make more money.
Welcome to Building Better Worlds. Our mission here is simple: to explore how the innovations of Web3 can deliver on its potential to build a sustainable, more equitable world. Welcome to this episode of Building Better Worlds. Today we are discussing shared treasuries and DAOs. And our guest today is Michael Healy, who is a pioneer in this space, and we're excited to have him. How are you doing, Michael?
Really well, thank you. And honored to be here, and thank you for making the time.
Thank you for coming on. So now let's get into it. You are founder of UNITnetwork. What is UNITnetwork?
Definitely. One of the co-founders of UNITnetwork, been in the crypto space for 10, 11 years, since 2010. Been building tech companies the past 15 years, originally from Singapore, half Singapore and half British. So UNITnetwork is driven by this idea of the token economy. We kind of looked at the world at the moment, and there's so many problems. There's plastic issue, climate change, poverty, water shortage. And we think all of these issues boil down to economic or monetary means. If you solve the money issue, is if everyone was more economically well taken care of, then it will be much better. So how can we solve the money issue? So we solve the money issue by, if we look at it, there's basically two sides. There's the founders and the investors, and then there's the customers and the employees. And the UNITnetwork is effectively creating this vision of the token economy where the founders and investors don't just own everything, but the customers and employees also get a piece of the pie. So we are creating this society where everyone has collective and shared ownership, and the UNITnetwork is a technology that helps power and support that.
Okay, so you're basically trying to if there's an invention or an idea, it's not just the people that brought it on to, that put the idea out, but also the people that believed in the idea in the first place to at least buy into that idea.
Exactly, the family, the friends, supporters. And it's not just for inventions or new ideas. It could be a local restaurant, it could be a local musician friend. So we're one of the leading tokenization and DAO platforms, and we make it super, super easy to create a coin, to create a token, create a DAO. And when you've created a DAO or a token, we have a really extensive set of tools to make sure that the token DAO coin is successful and sustainable.
Okay, so let's bring it down to layman's terms. What if I'm just a hairstylist, right? How can UNITnetwork help me build my craft and my business?
Absolutely, great question. So there's two parts there. If I'm a stylist, if you're a stylist, the two of us can make coins for our personal brand. So regardless of which salon we go to, people who believe in us can buy a piece of our future success. That's one. That's personal tokens for individual stylists. The second piece is the salons that we work at. Usually, the two of us, we're just getting paid by the hour. Maybe we get commission on every client. The really cool thing is if we had a stake in that salon, when that salon became the next Paul Mitchell or became a really large chain, we would get a piece of the upside.
Awesome. So anybody with an idea, with a craft, with something can still come into the UNITnetwork, right? And then be able to build themselves with a tokenized currency or economy.
Absolutely. And, it takes, seconds to build. It costs nothing. It's kind of like when the internet started, building a website was like really expensive, really tough. When the iPhone came out, when the Android came out, it's really expensive and tough to build an app. Now, making a coin, a DAO, a token is like really complicated. People claim to be experts about it. And, we're just boiling it down and making it super simple so that whether you're a stylist, you're a football player, you're a researcher, you're a psychologist, you run an agency, it's really helpful. You run a farm, it's really useful. A driver business,
All right, so in reading up on this, I found out something about city tokens. So what are city tokens and how do those work?
Definitely. So we kind of looked at the world and we thought, okay, in the next 5 years, what are going to be the biggest coins and tokens that are going to represent, a large, big piece of the token economy? And we thought, it's going to be things where there's lots of people and there's lots of economic activity. So, if you think about in the world, what are the things with the biggest economic activity or the biggest population density? Those are cities, things like London, New York, Tokyo, San Francisco, Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai, you name it. Or it's industries, things like the fashion industry, music, food, hotels, real estate. So we've basically built these industry and city tokens, and we believe that these are going to be the evolution of the very generic, nerdy and geeky protocol tokens. If you think about something like, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, BNB, polkadot, you name it, Matic, all of these don't mean very much to the majority of people. But if you think about something like New York or San Francisco or London or Paris, that is very meaningful. It represents a lot of economic activity. It represents a lot of people. And I would say that, if you were to judge the brand between something like, Ethereum or something like New York, New York or San Francisco or London means a lot to a lot more people than, a generic cryptocurrency, which if you look at the amount of usage, I'm a big proponent of digital assets, cryptocurrencies, coins, but the amount of usage at the moment or utility is minuscule compared to where it's going.
Awesome. So the whole idea behind this is kind of like decentralization, right? Trying to almost make it a fair playing ground, right? And so the question becomes, doesn't that also create like chaos? Because now, like you said, there's so many tokens out there. Which one should we fall behind, or which one should we, That is the common man that's going to ask that question.
Absolutely. And it's really complicated at the moment. Someone recommends you a coin or a token or an ICO or an IEO or, to buy into something. And you're like, okay, should I, he's smart or she's clever, should I trust her? Does he know what he's doing? So we think that the evolution of coins, tokens, DAOs is where there's the idea of a treasury or a floor price, which is backed by the amount of value that coin or token generates. What that means is if I'm a hairdresser, if I give lots of really good haircuts, I generate lots of value, services, products for people, I can put some of that revenue, into my treasury, and then my treasury will grow, and that increases the fundamental value of the coin or token. So if you think about, if you have an idea of opening a salon, your treasury or floor is zero. Meaning if I bought into it, I could lose, everything. And it's okay. I know I'm putting a lot of risk. But now if I, give you $100 or $1,000 and you do something good of that, then, you put some of that revenue, that value into your treasury, now it becomes less risky. And you're able to look at these, now there's about 12,000 coins. We think there's going to be 12 million coins. And then we're confident there'll be 12 billion coins. You can look at these 12 billion coins and go, okay, these few are not so risky, because their treasury is almost close to what the trading price is. While these are super, super risky because there's nothing in the treasury and it's all, popularity or speculative value.
All right. I like that. Now, let me play, devil's advocate here for a second, right? With all of these coins out there, with all of these ideas, because everybody that I'm talking to in this space is trying to do good, right? It's trying to, like you said, solve the problems that we have out there. But could governments weaponize this? Could they control it? Could they make it harder for us to solve those problems? Do you see a way around that?
I think they can try. And I think, a lot of governments are a bit misunderstood. And if you think about who's really controlling the world at the moment, it's not the politicians or the world leaders. It's, the business people. It's the economic, leaders of the world. And, yes, these people believe at the moment, if they do certain actions, they'll make more money, right? And the unfortunate thing is, I work for an impact fund in London, one of the top VCs in Europe. And what was interesting was people didn't realize that sometimes by doing good, you can make more money. So we believe that by using tokens, and sharing and offering incentives to the customers, to the employees, it's going to make the founders and the investors more money on an absolute level while sharing a piece of pie. So, it's kind of like people look at coins and tokens, they're like, it's a bit risky, it's a bit new. But, this decade, it's going to be the norm. And it's not like, is this going to happen? Is there a chance of it happening? It's like, it's going to happen. It's 100% guaranteed. And it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, but really a matter of when. And I think the next big step in this development is where we start to see projects and businesses which become wildly more successful with the use of tokenization than ones which are centrally owned. And once that happens, I think it's going to be exponential in terms of its growth.
There's this new idea of a one world currency, right? Do you buy into that, or does the ability to have all of these tokens at the same time and not have just one currency, have multiple currencies to be available to everybody?
Good question. So it's kind of like, if someone told you the internet could be one big website, if you think about all the different domains and all the different websites, you can think of it as, if someone doesn't know the internet, they can think of the internet as one website. Oh, they go onto the internet website, and then all of the, Google, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, it's all part of this one website, right? But, effectively, it's the idea of having millions of currencies which connect fluidly with one another it's kind of similar to having one currency in the sense that if you don't notice the difference and they all flow super smoothly, like I could have, 3,000 coins and tokens on my phone. And if I, pay you for something, you could receive it in, Bitcoin or UNIT or Ethereum. Like that is more of a global currency than, let's say some Michael tokens I have to give you, which you might or might not want. That behind the scenes gets converted and you will receive this more global currency. So I do think that this idea of people saying, oh, Bitcoin is going to be the global currency, the digital dollar, stuff like that, they're kind of missing the point, because it's kind of like if you look at communism versus capitalism, communism, this centrally planned model, is highly inefficient. You look at something like capitalism, it's highly efficient on a modular level, but the issue is that the value is not distributed equitably. So the cool thing about the token economy, it sits in between the two and really creates a much more efficient and long-lasting system.
Let me go back again to UNIT.network. I'm a layman. I want to have this idea, right? And I want to be able to access thought processes out there or the digital economy that's out there. How do I start?
Definitely. So we have a free master's program. It's a 6-week-long program. We've had, over 10,000 graduates. That gives you a really good start into, tokenization, the token economy, digital assets. So I highly recommend UNITmasters.org. And then, once you learn a little bit about how tokens work, how coins operate, how to make exchanges between coins, it's really not tough, but it's kind of like learning a new language. Once you do that, then we have a ventures program where you can, you have an idea or you have something that's running already. You can create a coin for yourself, for your business, for your idea, for your project, for your community. And then, during this 6-week ventures program, we work with our community to ensure that these coins and tokens are successful.
Oh, pretty cool. So now extrapolate this out 5 years from now. Where do you see this going? Especially with adoption and all of that, like people are getting to know more about the tokenized economy.
Definitely. So, the same way prior to the internet, access to information was pretty scarce. So, if you wanted to learn about the capital of Peru, you wanted to find out about Oklahoma's rich history, you want to travel around Asia or Europe, it wasn't easy. You needed to go to a bookstore, you needed to buy a book, you needed to speak to an expert. If you don't have money to buy a travel book, you're stuck. The internet, democratized that. It made information super accessible to everyone. Mobile phone, when it came out, the smartphone, everyone thought it's expensive. Who's going to sleep outside the Apple store? Who's going to pay $1,000 for a phone? And Nokia costs like $40, $50. That revolutionized access to communication. Someone could be on the other side of the world, and they could easily communicate. They could share information. Now, the cool thing about the token economy is going to make money and value a thing of the past. So now, whether someone has lots and lots of money or someone's really living paycheck to paycheck or in debt, they think about money a lot. They kind of think, should I buy this property? Should I, travel to this place? Should I order this on the menu? And they think, the money piece is something they think about. And the cool thing about the token economy, it's going to make it much less relevant. It sounds kind of utopian and surreal, this idea that money isn't an important piece of, or as an important piece as it is now. But I've no doubt that the token economy is just going to allow value to flow around so much more smoothly. You have an idea, you create a coin, you need to raise $1 million. You can do that in, 45 minutes. If you want to raise $1 million now, for most people, it's impossible. If you're outside of the, 0.0001% of society, with a network and a track record, raising even $100,000 is really, really tough. But the cool thing about the token economy is it just allows more opportunities financially to lots more people. And we don't need to depend on, the small group of, venture capitalists, angel investors, banks to be the gatekeepers of all of this tremendous amount of value in the world.
Nice. I like that. And so let me bring it back to me. I'm from Uganda, right? So I know a lot of people over there don't even know about tokenized economies, right? How can they catch up? How can we make it to where somebody in the village can still find value in this new economy?
Definitely. So, it's no point rushing it, and it's really just a matter of time. So, I'm excited for a future, in 2025, when I can take out my phone, and buy and invest and support, 1,000 aspiring Ugandan hairdressers. And I could have never met them. I've not been to Uganda, but I want to go. But I can take out my phone and, send, $50 to 1,000 Ugandan people with potential, Ugandan people. And then, the expectation is that most of them, might take this value and give it a shot, might not succeed, but there'll be a small minority that do, and it's going to completely change their lives. And the ones which, might just blow that money or, not do something productive with it, they'll learn a lot. And the next time they give it a shot, they'll succeed. So just this idea of, being able to support people more fluidly and do so on a global scale, it's going to be completely revolutionary. And I think what's going to solve it is, the moment that you create, if you create, let's say, a currency for Kampala, the capital of Uganda, and if this capital had a Kampala token, all the people in the country and capital would be able to have a piece of the city token, and then they could go, hey, cool, people believe in the city of Kampala and the Ugandan people as a whole, but maybe me as a person, I could be an interesting opportunity, and all the people, in the capital, 1.5 million people, all of them will have individual tokens, and you'll be able to see, the progression, you'll be able to see their growth. Everyone will be supporting and working together with one another. It won't be as competitive. So we live in a society at the moment where it's very much zero sum. If you succeed, I'll be like, I could have been you. I'm a bit envious, jealous of your success. It's going to move to a society where I'm going to have a piece of your success, and I'm going to wish and hope that you become even more successful. You're going to thrive and succeed, and the monetary piece of it just won't matter. You make a few $1 million more, you make a few 100,000, a few tens, it doesn't matter. The same way internet speeds don't matter, the same way smartphones, they don't matter as much as they did 10 years ago. So the idea of money and coins and tokenization is really going to revolutionize and change the world.
I like the fact that you said, I want you to succeed because I also have vested interest in your success. So I'm helping you so that you can be successful. So in other words, at the same time, you're helping the ladies in Kampala, and you're saying, hey, I'm giving you this, but I want you to succeed. It's not just charity per se.
Exactly. And it's a win-win. So if they succeed, I'll be more excited to support more people in Kampala.
Exactly.
And maybe I'll go to Kampala, I'll start a project in Kampala, and the aligned incentive is really interesting. So another really cool thing is if you look at, Africa, Middle East, Asia, South America, there's a lot of groups of people which are very adverse towards one another. If you think about Israel and Palestine, you think about Pakistan, India, you think about North and South Korea. It's so unfortunate because all of these people, they're kind of brainwashed to think that this other entity or group is the enemy. And the moment tokenization creates an incentive between the two, let's say you're part of one, tribe or community, I'm part of one tribe or community. My tribe hates your community with a passion. We were grown up to think that, you're evil, you want to kill our people, whatever. But if I had a piece of your tribe and a piece of your people, and if you didn't thrive, if you suffered, I would be personally affected. Then I would want you to thrive. And then we create a much more collected world where, we're not defined by books, which tell you, what your identity is, where you're from. If you wanted to be Ugandan and French and German and Chilean and, Singaporean and Japanese, in this token economy, you can be that. You're not defined by where you were born and a book that which kind of told you who you are. And we're going to look at this point in society with passports and pieces of paper representing value as like, wow, it's crazy that, society function with these imaginary lines. And
we're doing good for each other, but we're all profiting from it. 100%. Economically as well.
And it's really important, this profit piece, because it keeps it sustainable. So a lot of people look at capitalism, they look at entrepreneurs, they look at business people, they look at, businesses, and they go, they're terrible. We should shut down the business. We should, not make anything, privately owned. We should, shouldn't be entrepreneurs, shouldn't be business people, investors. But the way I like to think of it is you really need to give people an opportunity, and you need to create incentives for it to be sustainable. Because if there isn't profit or revenue, then, eventually things break down, they don't get taken care of, they fail. If you look at communist, centrally planned economies, that's a clear case of good intention, but bad execution and implementation.
Right. So what's your biggest challenge right now as you're implementing this?
I don't think it's any big challenge. I think education is a challenge. I don't think it's that big. I think it's really kind of like if you've made a cake, it takes time. If you grow a tree, you could put lots of water, you could put lots of nutrition, but it takes time. So the way we look at the token economy, it's a marathon. A lot of people in crypto, in blockchain, think about things on like, a 3-week, 3-month, 3-year horizon. And we think, that's extremely short term. And a lot of projects which do that, they end up going bust. They they kind of fail. We have, a 10, 15-year perspective. We've raised about $16 million. We're raising $80 million in the next few months. And we plan to build something bigger than Bitcoin. Something like, if you look at something like Bitcoin and Ethereum, these are wildly amazing tools, inventions, but very few people actually use it for very productive things. And most people who own it, who hold it, who are big believers on it, it's great that they're part of this internet nation per se, but it's really just scratching the surface for what's possible. So we're excited to take all of this amazing technology. UNITnetwork as a network, we support 15 blockchains, like so Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, Solana, Matic, Near, all of these assets back up, your personal token or my personal token or our Solon's token, right? And, we think that, what's the status of blockchain tokenization at the moment is, if this was a party, the speakers haven't arrived, the DJ's not here, it's only two of us in the room, and we're like, is this party going to be good? And we know it's going to be good because, we've seen technologies like that. We've seen parties like this go wild. So technologies like this, like the internet when it started, people are like, is this ever going to be used?
Right.
Mobile iPhone, is this ever going to be used? So the crypto blockchain tokenization space is no doubt going to grow, I would say 10,000 times from what it is now. And it's really just scratching the surface.
Well, I like that. And so any parting words that you have for anybody that's watching this and going forth from here?
Yeah, most definitely. A passing word. So I would highly recommend everyone to think about how you can use tokenization or coins or the token economy to be an integral piece of whatever they're working on or whatever they're passionate about. So you might not know anything about it, but just know that this technology is going to play such a big role in the future society. And whatever you're doing, this is going to help support you. When you create a coin or a token, you just give a name, a symbol, an image, you say how many exist, and you've created it. Now you can give some to your friends, to your families, to your supporters, and they're all going to root for your success because they are involved. They have ownership of your success. And then you're just going to have lots of great fun. There's a great community. You'll not have to worry about financial support. This ecosystem is worth $1 trillion at the moment. It's going to grow 1,000 then 10,000 times. So hold on tight for the ride. It's a long and exciting journey ahead.
Well, thank you so much, Michael. Thank you for your time. And it was great chatting with you. I learned quite a bit and wish you success in all your endeavors.